I'm Director of Marketing at Canonical, and my role is to promote the company and a range of products, primarily Ubuntu, our open source operating system around the world. My last job was 10 years in the mobile space. I was Marketing Director for a company selling software systems for the telecoms community. I've been involved with the open source community for almost 18-20 years, so I'm familiar with the background. And I think when the opportunity with Canonical came up, it was just very exciting. I only joined Canonical a couple of months back, so it's been a fairly steep learning curve in the open source space for me. It's different working in open source. I came from a high-end enterprise software business where, we sold our software licenses for $1, $2, $5, $10 million a time. So to move to a company where you essentially give away your software and have a different business model is quite strange for me. That said, I think there are some similarities, because if you look at the average enterprise software company, they do perhaps 5 or 10% of revenues in software licenses, and 90-95% of their revenues comes from software and services. And that's really the business model of most open source companies. You give away your software in most instances, then you make money on the back end from support and engineering and maintenance and customization. So it's actually not so different. I guess the principal difference is the way that you use the ability of free software to generate excitement and buzz and to essentially market itself. So marketing is slightly different in the open source world, because you rely on a huge community of enthusiast users to help you market your products around the world. One thing you realise when you join a company like Canonical is that community is just the most important thing we have in the business. It really is, because without the community, without their support, their advocacy, their technical contributions, the relationships that they do for you, you simply couldn't do it. They're just absolutely vital to everything that we do. And learning to work with the community, to appreciate the breadth and depth of the community, the variations in the people, the personalities, the approaches, is an important part of understanding how a company like Canonical will succeed. So although we don't specifically market out to the community, a lot of our work is in support of the community. So we produce materials and events, communications, information, websites, wikis, that are there directly to help the community go out and work with the Ubuntu and the Linux community broadly, and that is an important part of my role. I don't think we've ever done any advertising in Canonical. I'd be very surprised if we ever did do any advertising in Canonical, simply because the nature of the open source community kind of does your advertising for you, really. If you look at the amount of press coverage we get, the amount of blogging about us, the number of news groups that follow open source, stuff like that, we consciously spend our marketing dollars on things which we feel are more relevant to the open source marketing model.
Does it help to have a technical background to do open source marketing?
Yes, I think it would be quite difficult to do open marketing within the open source community without that. Without the understanding of how the community works, because you have to engage with very deeply technical people who often have no interest and no appreciation of marketing, and you sometimes have to explain to those kind of people why you have a marketing organisation in an open source company, because there is sometimes a disconnect there. They don't really understand why an open source business would need marketing. After all, you give the software away for free, so why would you need to market it? What's the benefit? What's the value in that? So I guess having marketing expertise combined with technical expertise is important to be able to engage with the community, to understand their thinking, to explain, to listen to them, to understand the technical benefits they want to communicate, and to find ways to communicate those benefits outwards, but also to come back to the community and explain why you do things the way that you do. But I would say that 80% of the people in the community absolutely get marketing. They understand the importance of it. People become involved in open source development because they want the world to see their contribution. If you can market it, if you can make it successful, profitable, self-sustaining, then that feeds back into the community, because the reality of life is that everything has to be paid for sooner or later. I have a very, very small personal contribution. About 15 years ago or 10, 12 years ago, I contributed about 6 lines to the Linux kernel. I helped fix a bug with a tape driver that was an iOmega tape driver.
What are the major trends you see in open source marketing?
We will see more of a return to mainstream marketing methods. I think a lot of money will come into the open source movement over the next few years, and that definitely drives the marketing agenda, because clearly, if a company goes public or if it's acquired or invested in by a VC, those guys have a commercial interest in the business, and therefore they will want to see a much more commercial marketing approach in the organisation. And I guess there is a danger that open source could become the new overhyped technology. I think it's a relatively small danger, because there's a lot of very down-to-earth, very sensible people who are very quick to stamp on any nonsense in this area.
What is the percentage of the marketing budget at Canonical compared to the overall company budget?
A good metric for a software company is 2 to 5% of revenue as a marketing budget, and I guess we're in about that kind of place.